Morning, everybody. How we doing? Sammy, United People TV, here to kick off another show. You know the drill by now. We'll be here for the next hour or so, running through all the latest Manchester United news, transfer news, and there's plenty to talk about. United's away kit just got released. I don't really care about the kits, I'll be totally honest. I'm waiting for that third one to drop, and then I'll be excited. I was going to give you a pretty decent update, I think, on Bryan and Mbeumo. I'd explain it shortly. We'll speak about Jadon Sancho. And then, loads of, I wouldn't say random names came out yesterday, but more Emiliano Martinez to United rumours coming out of Argentina. And then randomly, this one is random, Estupinian from Brighton. Huh? Bit random. Nico Jackson from Chelsea. Not the first time we've heard that name getting linked to us. We'll also speak about academy players being sold, a little bit about sales. You're going to let me know in the chat. All right? Let's get on with the show. Let me say hello to everybody. Let's jump straight into it. Good morning to Alex. What other mods are here? And I saw you there. Josh, I see you there as well. Steph, good morning to you. Carl, you're here as always. The mods hopefully keeping it civil down there, but not always. Sometimes it's all a bit like left hook, right hook, cheeky headbutt. Not always. Steve, good morning to you. Smee, we've got FC Class of 92. We've got Kelly, good morning to you. James Rodrigo Volpez. We've got Akash Jonah. We've got Carl, another Carl. Carl Army. Where's Carl Pilkington? Is he down there? Don't know. Let's get on with the show, baby. Right. So, first things first. Opinions on the away kit. I do quite like... Well, I love the just... What was it? What year was it? 2006-07? The white away kit, AIG with the gold collar. Was that 2006-07? I think it was. I still think that's one of my favourite ever United kits. I love the all-white kit. A little trim. It's fine. That's not too bad. I'm trying to look at what the detail is. What is that? Just kind of dots and stuff. Not, yeah, exactly. That's kind of where I am, Smee. Not the worst I've ever seen. Not the best I've ever seen. Right. It just kind of is what it is. I don't really know what colour shorts are. But I know that there's the Sancho and Martinez in it. I actually think definitely got a man crush on him. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. Gary saying, giving bottom half of the table vibes. 15th vibes right there. Someone saying he don't like the purple accent. It is what it is, man. Don't really care about kits. Kind of find it funny that people actually get offended by them. I mean, unless you get a kit that's, like, outrageously bad. Like, remember the green one we had? What year was that? Solskjaer? With the white vertical stripes, with the little red line and the... that was, like, offensively bad. Offensively bad. Third kits is where it's at. Although you only wear them once a season. Right. Let's run through some news around United, as we always do. And yesterday was another... It doesn't get any nicer for United fans, does it? This is what happened yesterday. Newcastle putting their bid in for Ekitike, around about 70 to 80 million euros, and it was rejected. And then kind of pretty soon after that, you hear that Liverpool are then making an approach to sign Isaac from Newcastle. On the same day that they rejected, I think, a 67 million euro bid for Luis Diaz from Bayern Munich. Darwin Núñez isn't going to be going to Napoli, but what you're probably going to be seeing is two massively inflated prices for Darwin Núñez and Luis Diaz, which means that Liverpool are going to be able to spend over 100 mil on a striker. But at the same time as all of that, you've then got Liverpool going in for Ekitike, just in case Newcastle decides, no, Isaac isn't for sale no matter what the price is. Now, let's be honest. That's pretty much game over for the league. Surely. Before it's even bloody started. It's what the top teams can do, man. It's absolutely sickening. You win the league, then you sign Frimpong, then you sign Kirkes, then you sign Wirtz, and then you sign Isaac. You're like, rah. That just makes you want to... So yeah, that'll be fun. Not. But Darren saying, I don't understand why we're only busy with one deal or reporters just making stuff up because they know nothing. I mean, that's kind of part and parcel of it. But I think United will be working on other deals in the background. But this is the thing about United. We know that our money's limited. So, like, I don't know. Like, if you were playing Football Manager, like in old school PES, you couldn't put it. I don't know why I'm relating it to. It's as close as I'm going to get to a football transfer. You couldn't. I don't think you could put more bids in than you could actually afford, which is kind of where United are at right now. We can only really afford the Mbeumo deal, and we can't really afford anything after. Now, as I said, with the Mbeumo situation, I want to bring you a little bit of an update, and I consider this an update, and I actually consider this a pretty decent update. Okay. We don't need to get into the ins and outs of it. Yesterday, we've had that long debate around the fact that Man United are still millions apart in the valuation. And it was a very frustrated live show. Okay? I know that. Do you know what the date of this was? Right? And Mbeumo decides he wants to join United. 2nd of June. Right? 2nd of June. Leigh saying a deep dive into reliable football journalism would be welcomed. That is the Pandora's box of a football video. My word. I don't know how you'd ever do that accurately. You could try. It'd be tough. But Mbeumo, right? We know what the latest from Ornstein was yesterday. Still millions apart in the valuation. Brentford value at home higher than United do. Now, this is, I think, where it gets interesting this morning. Okay? This was a few days ago from Fabrizio Romano saying that Brentford are showing initial interest in Omari Hutchinson as a possible replacement for Bryan and Mbeumo. All right? And then this came out this morning. This is coming from, I believe, is this the London Standard? That Brentford have bid 35 million for Omari Hutchinson. And then to follow up on that, Fabrizio's confirmed it here, saying Brentford had a 35 million bid rejected for Omari Hutchinson. Didn't meet the payment terms, needed to activate the release clause. That clause is now expired, and Ipswich want to hold on to him. But Ipswich got relegated. You're not going to be able to hold on to him. Now, this is definitely interesting, all right? Where do you think, I'll ask you a question. Where do you think Omari Hutchinson would go in Brentford's record signings if they were to pay 35 million for him? Just give me a number between 1 and 10. This really does look like Brentford finding an Mbeumo replacement before the Mbeumo deal is done. If it's not that, I'd be absolutely amazed. All right, but where do you think he would rank in terms of their most expensive signings ever? Now, no cheating, no googling. Shax, thank you very much, dude, for gifting 5 memberships. All of you have come in straight away. It's exactly that. If Omari Hutchinson, and look, they've put the bid in, £35 million, has been rejected as well, by the way. Their most expensive signing ever is 33 million euros. That's Brentford spending big. That's not Brentford going and finding a replacement for 10 million. No, that's signing someone now that's got the Premier League, well, to a certain degree, Premier League proven quality. Top of that list. That's how big that bid is from Brentford. So that's a really interesting development for me. That shows that something is going on behind the scenes with Brentford and finding an Mbeumo replacement. Whether he would be a direct replacement, I suppose you could kind of debate about that. I think he's played central attacking midfield, but he very much played on the right-hand side for Ipswich last season. Okay? So that's in my opinion, that's an update. And I think that's a positive update. As frustrating as everything has been, there's activity from the Brentford side. D-Man down there saying could be a Vissa replacement. I don't really see Hutchinson as a... I see... I'm not... if anybody argues to me about the pronunciation, I'm just gonna come punch you through a screen. It's Vissa, Pissa Shissa, Issa. I see him as more of a centre forward for Brentford. Am I wrong? Let me know. Adam Reza saying who's Brentford's manager? What's his name? Keith Andrews? Somebody who was promoted from within. Robbie's saying they've had a huge investment into the club. It's not related to Bryan at all. They've had an investment. It's like Spurs. You know all the rumours going around about Spurs selling off their stadium naming rights. I really don't see Hutchinson as a Wisted replacement. Hutchinson, okay, you can argue to me if you want about whether or not he would be a replacement. To me, going out and putting in a club record bid for a player who predominantly plays on the right wing where your best player plays, that doesn't really sound like squad building to me. That sounds like replacement to me. And yeah, as I said, quote unquote, go down there. Brentford are looking at Omari Hutchinson as a possible replacement for Bryan and Mbeumo. Jayra saying, why, rather than dragging on with Mbeumo, why not move to other targets? I don't particularly think United have other targets in that position. I think if we do move on from, this might just be what I want to happen, but if we move on from Mbeumo, I think we might move to other positions. Now, you've got Simon Stone from the BBC saying, look, United want to complete a move for Mbeumo before we fly. And look, I didn't realise how quickly after. We actually fly out to the USA on Tuesday. So 6 days. We fly out to America in 6 days. That's mad. I thought it was a little bit longer than that. Our first game is on 29th. So what's that? 6 days from now, we fly out on 22nd. We fly out 7 days beforehand. That's a lot. Well, you wasted your money sending that super chat. Someone saying, mark my words, Manda. We are getting relegated this season under Ineos. I'm not being negative. I'm just being realistic. Quote unquote, I'm not being negative, but we're getting relegated. Luckily for United, there are 3 teams who get promoted from the Championship every year. We're never going to get relegated. Not in the modern league. Last season, fortunately or unfortunately, last season was the worst season we'll ever see in the Premier League from Manchester United. And it was bad. I never want to see anything that bad ever again. But yeah, definitely want to watch this Omari Hutchinson situation. Let's find out. I just wanted to bring you that update. Shoot me if you want. What do I think will happen with Mbeumo? I'm going to speak about McMeltus very soon. double leg McMeltus. What else can he do? You can let me know in the comments. Yeah, I know we're playing Leeds on Saturday, but that's not part of the actual pre-season tour. That's just an extra game that was added in, a bit like the Fiorentina game. Like, we topped and tailed our pre-season tour, which is 3 games in America. We've topped and tailed it with a game against Leeds in Stockholm and Fiorentina at Old Trafford. This season won't be different from last year. Yes, it will. All right. This season won't involve sacking a manager. Famous last words. Won't involve sacking a manager 3 months into the season, then finishing 15th, getting knocked out of every cup and losing Europa final. Of course, we ain't in the Europa League. Aloysius, you think we're going to be getting a here we go today? Yeah. Good luck. Good luck. I mean, I hope so. Right. Top 6 is what Omar Barada has said he's aiming for. But yeah, again, good luck. Good luck. Amanda gifting 5 memberships after saying United are going to get relegated. Just to balance it out, right? It's all about balance this year. Anyway, speaking of McMeltus, I'd say largely this is bad news, but there's noise that could be good news. All right. Now I'll start with the bad news. We got Juventus. We got the here we go from Fabrizio on Conceição joining Juventus. Now was he on loan with them last season? Don't quite know. But their priority this summer has been on signing him permanently. And here we go was confirmed yesterday. 30 million euros paid in 4 installments. That's the release clause, done and dusted. And he was considered the priority for Juve. Now, does that mean, hold on here. Does that mean that Sancho to Juve is off? Well, I don't actually know. I don't know whether it was one or the other or whether both could be signed. So this, on the surface, this looks like bad news with Juve and Sancho. And then we look at whiffy news that's coming out of Italy as well, saying about Juve increasing their bid for Sancho to 15 mil. And probably more importantly, this one. the suggestion that United are willing to pay that severance clause. Big up Severance. Great series. I enjoyed that. You see, Severance got nominated for, 24 Emmys, and Penguin got nominated for 23. Man, I love Penguin. What's everyone watching right now? What have I finished? Started Sandman Season 2. It's all right. It's not the greatest. I started watching 1883 on my ones. Quite enjoying that. What else did we finish? Oh, I got Susie to watch Narcos because she never ever watched Narcos. I was like, I'm ready for that again. And it still stands as one of the best things that Netflix has ever made. Didn't skip the intro song once. Just sitting there, just having my vibe. Not watched the last season of The Bear yet, so no spoilers. Anyway, this here is compromise. The amount of times I've bloody mentioned that damn word on this show this summer. Compromise. United have got to find ways to sell shit. Well, how can you do that? I don't know. Pay off a severance package. So that's effectively taking that $5 million fee that Chelsea paid, and instead of taking that and using that, just going, right, we'll sod that, we'll write that off as a severance package just so he leaves. That's what the suggestion is from Italy. But on the surface, Conceição signing for Juve looks like bad news for McMeltis. Now, I don't know whether that actually means whether or not he'll sign him, but that's just the latest update on him. Right, let's see what it's saying down here. Compromises people TV. I saw that Rashford to Liverpool stuff yesterday. I was like, there's no way I'm bringing that up. I think we had this conversation. Was it someone back in the 60s was the last person to move from Liverpool or move between United and Liverpool directly? Rashford's not going to Liverpool. Anyway, this man, right? Emi Martinez. Now, we've had plenty of conversations about Emi Martinez this summer. Poker Face is great. I love that. If no one's watched Poker Face, I haven't watched the second season yet, but the first season is awesome. That's great. That's a great series. I like series that feel a little bit unique. I did just bring it up. No, just somebody commented on it, right? That's why. Anyway, Emi Martinez. Let's have a conversation. We spoke about it early this summer. He's not my number one choice if we're going to sign a goalkeeper. I've kind of been pretty clear on that. Do I think he'd be a bad signing? No, I don't particularly think it'd be a bad signing because the majority of goalkeepers would probably be an upgrade on Onana. Is he Premier League proven? Yes. Is he experienced? Yes. Would he improve us? In certain ways, he'd improve us. But if you want a goalkeeper that you can rely on and not sometimes have to watch through one eye, then Emi Martinez isn't your man. Now, I don't know whether this is all just a direct consequence of this. Potentially. I think regardless of Onana getting injured, we should have been in for a first-choice goalkeeper. But you've got Gaston is an Argentinian journalist who's considered pretty reliable, right, when it comes to Argentina-based news. He's saying that United are in advanced negotiations for Emi Martinez. Nothing from Ornstein, nothing from Fab or any other British journalist just yet. So this is one to watch. But I'd be very, very surprised. I saw that. I'd be bloody amazed. I'd be amazed if United didn't sign a goalkeeper this summer. As I said, before the Onana injury, after the Onana injury, for sure. Someone's mentioned it down there. Mark, it would be like peak Manchester United to sign a goalkeeper who's then banned for the first 3 games of the season because he got sent off against us. Nars, you're down there saying Emi feels like Barthez 2.0. I can't say that because I bloody said the same thing about Onana. That's what I thought I was going to be worried about with Onana. I thought the moans and the groans around Onana was going to be because the dude's doing stepovers outside his box. He's doing flip-flaps inside his own 6-yard box or doing 1-2s or keepy-ups. I thought he was just going to come with some rush goalkeeper nonsense. But instead, he just couldn't save a basic shot. MC Fatman saying Onana hasn't been that bad. He's just been very unreliable. Dude, Onana has been that bad. so many self-induced problems that have come through. I just think a lack of concentration. Fred, you're saying a new keeper, Sam. When has United's board done anything sensible? Don't really know. Well, can I quickly pause here and say, right, I rang Royal Mail this morning about the PO box for the community wall. And I'm really annoyed, man, because out of nowhere, they've now told me. So I've changed the pinned comment there, you'll see. So apparently the PO box can only receive mail from UK posting. So if you sent anything from abroad, it might, unless Royal Mail pick it up from whenever it's like the air freight, then it doesn't come to me. They didn't tell me that, man. When I told them I was setting it up, I told them why I was setting it up and the community that we've got. And it's only just been mentioned now, so I've raised an investigation into what's going on. But if anybody sent anything from outside the UK, I might not get it. And anything from inside the UK, well, they've got no excuse. So I'm trying to find out exactly what's happening. I apologise about that. It's not my fault. I set it all up correctly. It's just Royal Mail being dicks. Really, really annoying because I want to get this empty wall filled with stuff that you send. Steve's saying every keeper makes mistakes, but we need ones that make the fewest. I think that's a pretty damn fair comment. Anyway, the Emiliano Martinez stuff is definitely one to watch. But this one confused me. Scooby down there saying, why are we looking at buying a left-back from Brighton? And that's exactly my reaction when I saw this yesterday. Right? To give Ben Jacobs credit, he's been pretty damn good with reports this summer. I don't know whether he's got some new sources, new links, but he's certainly getting a lot more hits is probably the wrong word to describe it. But his reports have been far more accurate. Saying that United have held talks on the players' side. And again, like, can I just point this out here? We've spoken about this so many times on this channel. Like, you see how how Forest are trying to sue Spurs now for tapping up because they're trying to say that Spurs spoke to Morgan Gibbs White without their permission. It's like, what? So tapping up still exists. Right there, United have held talks with the players' side. Well, is that not tapping up then? I don't know. Chidi is saying can use a parcel forwarder for non-UK mail. If anybody wants to reach out and I did a bit of Googling before the show, I need to figure out a way where overseas stuff can get sent, again, forwarded to a PO box or an address that's not my home address. That's what I need to do. But anyway, right there. So what? United have held talks with Estupinian's representatives. What? So is that not tapping up then? I don't know. But anyway, Estupinian. I mean, come on, man. Is he a bad player? Absolutely no. Right? He's a good player. But a left back? A left wing back? Jonah and Alex, you sort of mentioned the fact that there was an NDA on the release clause. That's the issue. Imagine that you could put an NDA on a release clause. What is the point in having a release clause if it's caged by an NDA? Because no one can ever use the release clause because you can't bloody tell anybody about it. What? So the release clause only exists when the club wants to tell other clubs that the release clause is there. Huh? What's the point in that? Anyway. Estupinian, right? Left back. I'm going to put a striker as a higher priority. I'm going to put a right attacking midfielder as a higher priority. A central midfielder as a higher priority. Probably a right wing back. Higher than that. A centre back. Probably higher than that. I'm going to sign all of those players before I sign another bloody left back. We've got Dorgu. Is he everything that we need? No, but we signed him with the premise that he was going to develop and progress and probably take a season or two to become the left back that we need. We've just signed a 17-year-old left back in Diego Leon. He's just turned 18. He's going to come into the first team squad environment. I don't think he'll go out on loan, so I think he'll be there. And we've got Harry Amas. Yeah, sure, it's a lot of potential. So you could say, well, you kind of need a bit of experience to sort of see them through. But nah, man. And how much... Random thought. Okay, look. Estupinian goes through. Well, not goes through, but the Estupinian interest is real. How much do you think Brighton would actually charge for him? Now, a couple of you are mentioning Dorgu on the right-hand side, which I don't think is the most horrendous shout. Actually, a couple of really good performances from Dorgu on the right-hand side. Cutting in. And, of course, Ruben Amorim prefers his right wing-back to be left-footed. Looking at what Kenda did, looking at Ahmad, potentially looking at Dorgu. He likes the inverted fullback on the right-hand side and the natural left wing-back on the left-hand side that can then go on the outside. So I don't actually know how long Estupinian's got left on his contract. Two of you are saying 20 odd mil, someone's saying 60 mil, 30 mil. He's on the last year of his contract apparently. JA saying, mark my words, Amorim is to develop players from the academy. So he should. We've got an excellent crop of players, man. We really, really do. It's no exaggeration. It's not just saying that, because we're Glazer stooges and we don't want to spend money. It's like, no, just Man United's academy right now is as strong as it has been in the last time. But the pressure boiler situation that our football club is means it's very difficult for those youngsters like Cheeto, like Sekou, to break through into the first team and to have the sort of leaders around them that allow them to cope with the environment. So yesterday with the class of 92 wouldn't have been who they were if those Cantona, Keane, Bruce sort of players weren't there to guide them through. Best opinion. Weird. Right? Where does that leave Ahmad? Hypothetically, you could look at that as, speaking of hypotheticals here, United go and sign Estupinian, and then we end up playing Dorgu as a right wing-back instead of a left wing-back, and we don't sign Mbeumo, and then Ahmad goes further up front, and therefore the one signing is Estupinian. You reshift the others, and then you spend your big money in central midfield instead. That could conceivably happen. But I just think this is kind of agent noise more than anything else. That's all. I think it's just agent noise. I can't imagine that's going to go any further, really, than this conversation today. Might be wrong. But going back to this, right? Yeah, Neil, you could do that, by the way. You're saying, could this be a way to pressure Brentford? Possibly. You say, right, okay, well, if you're not going to sell us Mbeumo, we're going to sign Estupinian. We're going to shift. Well, you have to tell him the whole bloody transfer plan. We say, well, we're going to completely shift our targets in. We'll sign a wing back and then restructure and reshift players into different positions. Possibly. Possibly. But going back to the Emiliano Martinez stuff, look, if we're in conversations with Villa, this has to be, come on, man. Force this conversation. Garnacho has to be part of any conversation if United is speaking to Villa about Emiliano Martinez. This should be and can be a situation where United and Villa sell to each other at inflated prices to help each other's books. If we were to sell Garnacho for 60 mil to Villa, that goes down as pure profit. And then we agree maybe an inflated price for Martinez as a consequence. I even think that Ollie Watkins should be part of this conversation. I really do. All the big name strikers, that United didn't have the funds for them this summer. Ekitike, Gyökeres, Osimhen, all gone. We tried to go for Delap, it didn't work. Garnacho has to be a part of any conversation that involves Martinez and Villa, right? That's what I think. I feel quite strongly on that as well. Because Garnacho, we know he wants to move to the Premier League. So realistically, it's probably only Chelsea or Villa. Don't see Newcastle coming in for him. Spurs have already spent big on Kudus, so I don't think they're going to be going for another winger sort of position. Brentford, I mean, you could have a conversation with Brentford about Garnacho, but I think he turned his nose up at Garnacho. Sorry, at Brentford. Let me see what you're saying down here in the chat. And I'll leave that one up there about Garnacho and Villa. Manny, you're saying, can play from the back, has both feet, won a World Cup, no brainer. You're talking about Emiliano Martinez. I was trying to think of who you meant there. It's definitely not a no-brainer because the fees that we're all seeing and hearing about are nuts. Certainly wouldn't be an Onana, though, which is a step in the right direction. Mike saying, I can see Garnacho only wanting a move to London. Oh, mate. I only want to move to the Premier League. I only want to move to London. I only want to move to a team that wears blue. I only want to live in this particular road. I actually only want to live in this number house. And if I can't get all of these things, I'm not moving. I'm not saying that actually happens, but right. Someone down there saying Martinez's peak toxicity. Don't get that in our dressing room. I wouldn't agree with that. Emi Martinez definitely strikes me as the king shithouse. And if he's in your team, man, you love him for it. If he's not in your team, it riles everyone else up. It doesn't matter because he's running up everybody else. But I do think United could probably make a smarter keeper signing. He's definitely not toxicity. I mean, him and Sandro Martinez would be boys. When do you think United tax and reputation will be lifted off our club? I don't know, dude. Not this summer, that's for sure. I think we've still probably got a couple of summers of it. Because until we get rid of the contracts that existed pre-Ineos, like you can speak about all the problems that Ineos are doing, and there are plenty of them, but they're not handing out dumbass contracts to players that we're inevitably going to be stuck with. So it's probably a couple of summers' time of getting rid of the existing contracts before it's not really a problem for our club. Look, let's see what goes on with Emi Martinez, but the suggestion from reliable reports out in Argentina is that we're in advanced negotiations for him. And if that is the case, throw Garnacho into that chat. Throw Ollie Watkins into that chat. Do inflated prices for all of them. Play the game, man. Play the goddamn game. Now, this isn't actually the first time that Nicholas Jackson's been linked with us. I think it's probably the first time he's been linked from a pretty decent source. This is coming from the Times yesterday from Paul Hurst. I'll read through what it says. Nicholas Jackson, United are monitoring Chelsea forward. United are monitoring the situation of Nicholas Jackson as the forward weighs up his future after they signed Delap and Pedro. Jackson failed to score in a tournament. Chelsea are not actively looking to sell Jackson, who cost them 32 mil 2 years ago. They see potential in him. There's an expectation that he will receive competitive minutes. They are keen to retain Jackson is not regarded as untouchable, so there is a feeling that a sizable offer might persuade them to sell him. Now, I'm going to put that down as a poll for today, right? I'm just going to do yes or no. Sorry, Miss Jackson. Ooh. I am sorry. I'm all banger. Big up, Outcast. Anyway. It's probably what I would look at it. Like, really? Surely United could... I don't even know how much he would... First of all, I don't know how much he'd cost. Secondly, last season, he had... Like, you're talking about the misses that Højlund had. Wah. Jackson had plenty as well. I don't think he'd be as awful a signing as some might suggest. But I also don't want United to go and sign him. If he was on loan, would you be offended? I don't really think we could be offended about anybody on loan, really. Let me see what you're saying down here in the chat. Why not go after Ramos from PSG? I don't really know what's going on with Ramos. He's got a really good goal scoring record per 90, despite not really ever being first choice there. Is Jackson really better than Højlund? No, I don't particularly think he is. I would consider Jackson a sideways step from Højlund. And if that's the truth, then kind of what's the point in it? It would more be for a body rather than an upgrade. Susan, you would keep Højlund as a first striker any day of the week. What's going on here? Loan, yes. Signing, no. Someone would try him on loan. Yeah, I'd definitely rather Watkins. Let's see what the poll's saying. 600 votes are in. Don't sit on the fence, everyone. 86% of you think no for Jackson. Strong. Very strong. Yeah, I see him as very much like a sideways signing. Path, you're talking about Sesko? Dude. Sesko is a lesson in... Is it being too greedy? I think probably a little bit being too greedy, but Leipzig went into this window strong, didn't they? You saw the reports before the summer even started about, oh, his fees, he's got release clauses 70 mil, but it goes up according to his performances, and it's actually going to be more towards like 90 mil. I think they were dead certain confident that Arsenal were going to sign Sesko, and then Arsenal went, nah, Gyökeres. Shit. Liverpool. Oh, they'll come. No, Liverpool looking out for Ekitike and Isaac. Chelsea have already signed João Pedro and Delap. Newcastle are signing Ekitike. No one's coming in for Sesko. Leipzig played a dangerous game with Sesko, and they have cut off all their options. So that's the art of warfare when it comes to transfers. I think Leipzig failed on that game. But anyway, Nico Jackson. I don't particularly think that United will go for him. He strikes me as a sideways step more than anything. I honestly don't think he'd be as bad a signing as some of you are saying he would be, but I also don't think he's going to be the solution to the problems that we have. And that's probably where I would say. 700 votes, 85% of you are saying no. I can understand that. Rex, very good to point that out, and I thought about that this morning. He's contracted at Chelsea until 2033. I really hope that those mega contracts like really hurt Chelsea, because we're talking about severance packages with Sancho. Imagine that bastard had like a bloody 8-year contract. Yeah, severance package is 34.5 mil. Yeah? What? Go on then. Right. And this, I'm only going to speak about this for like 30 seconds. Tolisso, seeing some reports coming from France, I think, that United are interested in signing Tolisso. I'm like, mate, what year is it? I'm pretty sure Tolisso came from Bayern Munich, didn't he? Before Lyon. And I'm pretty sure that we were linked with him. Like, whiffy links, but links nonetheless. For like 2 to 3 seasons. Weird one there. Right, let me see if I missed any other super chats up here. Alex, you're asking, who do you think starts in goal on Saturday? Going to be doing my starting 11 video on Friday. First one of the season. We're back. And I'll take a look and I'll run through all of that. So I'll keep that today. Stick to the Fergie approach. Buy from the Premier League. The Tolisso one's a bit weird. Aloysius is saying, why can't we sign Vlahovic? The reason that you can't sign Vlahovic is because he's on nuclear wages. That's why. Højlund is the future. Well, you might be in your own thinking that. Steve saying, it feels like we're making progress, but everyone around us is signing world-class players. We haven't recognised it's a World Cup year. It always makes it a competitive transfer market. You know what World Cup year should also do? Like, light the fire under the arse of Rashford and Garnacho. If they want to be in the World Cup squads, like, lads, you've got to play first-team football. Stop being so damn picky. Stop saying there is only, I don't know, 1 or 2 clubs that you would join because you might not get a move. Then what happens? Then you're definitely not playing in the Premier League. Manny, what are you saying, sir? Thanks for super chat. You're saying Cunha and Mbeumo and Xerxes sharing the number 9. Højlund will be there as the apprentice. The only striker this window that may be an option is Vlahovic on a free. I don't think Vlahovic is an option unless he would take a massive, massive wage cut. And also, if Juventus can get the severance package. Because they're trying to get him to cancel his contract. Fat chance he's going to do that. Fat chance that Sancho will be doing that. Steve, are you doing a video on United's best 11 for the new season? I'll do that, Steve, closer to the start of the season. Ideally, after we've signed a few players. I wouldn't think there's any point in me doing a video now that might be completely out of date in a week or 2 weeks if we sign a couple more. So I'll wait on that one. Chris is saying, can you envisage a Rasmus redemption arc coming? I wouldn't say I can envisage a Rasmus redemption arc, but there's just no way that he plays as bad as he did last season. Like, especially the second half of that season, it was really, really painful to watch him play football. It's like he had lead in his boots. Like, everything was terrifying to him. It wasn't that he wasn't playing with confidence. It had gone way past that point. He was just playing scared. Like, don't fuck up, don't fuck up, don't. Oh, he's done it again. Don't mess up, don't mess up. Oh. That's how he played. And you've definitely mentioned Ivan Toney once or twice in the chat. I don't know what's going on with Ivan Toney out there. It's weird. Like, John Duran left after like 6 months. Maybe Tony's having a good time. Now, a couple of midfield signings I want to talk about here before we have a quick chat about the academy, right? This one here is a bit of a midfielders, right? Both of these players I'm about to speak about are midfielders. We know we haven't got mega dough this summer. But there are plenty of players in world football available for, I would say, 30 million or less who would improve Manchester United's squad. Are they guaranteed to be the dominant midfield that you need for winning the Prem? But no, we're not signing those players now. Like 5%, like we're 15th, lads. Our aim this season is to go from 15th to 6th. So the calibre of players that you need to sign is a little bit different than if you're Liverpool and you've already won the league and you need to win the league again. Right? Anton Stack, right? 20 mil plus add-ons. This is a sort of central defensive midfielder that has kind of been linked. Well, I would say being linked. Is he even on the list? No, he's not even on the list. I need to update this. We haven't got Estupinian. There's a couple of names. Talisa's on there. Oh, Estupinian's already on there, actually. So Stack's not on there. But these are the sorts of signings you think, well, surely United have actually done a bit of research and found that. If he's available for that amount of money, that's one of your low-risk signings. It might not work out. If it doesn't work out, well, you haven't spent the world on him. But if it does work out, people will be like, oh, that was a bargain. And then this one as well. Baronetcha going from Villa to Benfica on loan with an obligation to buy for 15 mil euros. Very cheap. Don't think Jackson was on that list. As I said, I'll update the list after the show, so I won't be able to look at which names are on it and which names aren't on it. Seems really, really cheap. If I was to choose a sort of signing that I would love to know, I love United making the emerging talent signings, right? People like Diego Leon, Sekou Kone, I think I'll always get excited about those to watch the development of them and see if they can turn into a star. Great. But this sort of level of signing, like Baronetcha and Stack, 15 to 20 million euros, they're available, man. If you're looking in the right places, these ones are harder to spot. These ones are harder to say that. We spotted Højlund and we didn't get it right. So it's not as if it's guaranteed that if you pay more, you're guaranteed to get a successful signing. Richard Rios is another one that I know lots of you would have been speaking about. It's just a surprise that United aren't going in for any of this level of signing. 10, 20, 30 million euros. Still a lot of money. But it's not at that Mbeumo Cunha level. Which ultimately we're not really at right now. So it's kind of a surprise. And I think that's what that's what Chris Vavell should be doing. Jason Wilcox should be doing. As much as United want to dine at the top table, we want Champions League champagne level signings. But we had Europa League budget last season, and we've got no European budget this season. And I absolutely think that we can polish diamonds, man. I think Amorim is very much a good coach for that. Certain coaches are far better at honing established world class. I think Pep Guardiola is probably the best at that. Jose Mourinho is also very good at it too. The best examples of give a manager the tools, don't ask him to develop, but ask him to make the most of what he's already got, and he'll do that. Amorim, I think, has more development potential in him as a coach, in turning those players. So polishing diamonds. That's what I want to see more of. So I find it a little bit confusing that United aren't really in for players like Stack, for players like Barrenetcher. What was Ten Hag good at? Ten Hag in that first season, man, it's easily the most I've enjoyed. No, that's it. I probably enjoyed a Solskjaer season where we finished second. Trying to think of the most enjoyable season I've had post-Fergie. I mean, I suppose it's got to be Mourinho's double winning season, because that was the year where I was most active in following United. I'll always remember that week where I went to St Etienne away, then came back and then went to the Southampton League Cup final where Ibra scored the winner at Wembley. That was a class week. I just got to travel a bit more. Now I can't do it anymore. United. Also not sure I can be asked. No, I still can. So I enjoyed that the most. I enjoyed the Solskjaer season, but Ten Hag's first season as well. That was unbelievable. Arbitrage, you're going down and asking about Patrick Schick. Has he been linked? Don't particularly know. David is saying, why can't we sell the ladies team? Sorry. Oh, caught me yawning there. I don't really know. That is massive. That is a loophole that won't exist. That won't exist next weekend. Next weekend. Maybe not next weekend. Next season it won't exist. The PSR loophole will be closed about selling hotels to yourself or selling the women's team. I don't actually know the value of the women's team. Anybody have any idea? I don't know. It was only established a few years ago. A little bit random. Habib Ogadai's joined Newport on loan. I'm looking at this, right? And this is like another League 2 loan signing. I don't know whether I'm just being unfair on Newport County. I'm being unfair on League 2, but I want United to get more League 1 signings. I want more United to get more Championship level signings. That's what I want to see. And I don't mean that in an offensive way. I wish the best of luck to Ogadai, but I would just rather see United. And maybe this is just the level of where some of these players are at. I don't quite know. But yeah, I hope that we get more League 1 and Championship. Adele saying, United never failed to ruin my day, even in the off-season. It is frustrating being a United fan right now, no doubt. But we keep going. Let's watch the game against Leeds on Saturday. Let's hope we play some good football. I'll be there. I won't physically be there. I'll bring the match reaction. On the day after, I'll bring you the 5 things we learned. And then we'll talk about the preseason and build up. And then the conversation starts again. United will be a better team, even without new signings. But we need a lot more. We need a lot more. Now, the final story for today, came out just before we went live, saying United have been offering out, this is from Stephen Ralston from the Manchester Evening News, United have been offering out academy players, some who were signed for sizable fees for almost nothing. Representatives and families are unhappy, but the club insists players are always consulted. And effectively what this is suggesting is that United will be selling certain academy players for really low fees as long as there is a massive sell-on clause included as part of the deal, which is exactly what we did with Oyedele. And even though we should have got more than we got a 40% sell-on clause, but also he had a €6 million release clause for Legia Warsaw, so 2 million we got. Great. Zidane Iqbal was sold for €1 million. That's exactly what it means. Someone down there is saying, what does this mean? What does this all mean, Basil? it means that United, instead of keeping a ton of academy players, are going to be more willing to sell those players on for relatively cheap amounts of money in order to then have the big sell-on clauses in the future. Now, someone down there saying this is a clickbait article. Let's see what happens. But United have already kind of been doing this over the last year or two already. Not that we're doing a fire sale of all academy players. That's not the case. But United have done this previously. We've hoarded players. We do it with the first team. We used to do it with the academy as well. Just hold on to players until they don't have value anymore, or they leave for on a free, right? I think it's the correct thing to do for United to know what players to move on and to know when to move them on, and not to just hold on to them for the sake of holding on to them. And then protect yourselves with the release clause, the sell-on clauses if they do go on to be good. Right? Let's see if anything more comes out of that. But I'll go back to it there. And honestly, I just think it's really good news about Mbeumo, that. Clinton is saying Brentford actually moving for Omari, and that's exactly what has been confirmed this morning. They've put in a 35 million bid and it's been rejected. Now, you could come at me saying it's not an Mbeumo replacement, and I will come back at you saying, well, pretty sure that is an Mbeumo replacement. 35 mil bid being rejected already, and that would be their record club signing. Last minute of the show. Let me know any questions or anything you want me to speak about that I haven't quite spoken on yet, and I'll go down and read some of the chat. Someone down there saying we're doing the total opposite of the Pogba situation. I wouldn't say that's got anything to do with the academy level signings. I'd say that had everything to do with some of the big contracts that we handed out at top level, which we're still getting stung by. This idea that giving players longer contracts means it protects you because they can't leave for free, but then if you actually want to sell them, then you can't sell them because they've got such a long bloody contract. Akash saying, what if Garnacho, Rashford, Anthony don't get their new clubs? They need to get their new clubs, man. I think they will. I just think it might happen later in the window. Mr. Smith, good question. And when's the podcast starting up again? The pod, I really struggled with the workload when the pod... So I did it for like 4 months. Obviously, you see how much work goes into doing this. To get a live show ready, I can't just take 10 minutes, write down what a story is, and then just kind of spiel my opinion. I tried to bring you more facts and information, so I've got to research all of that. It takes a good long time to research that in the morning. And I was recording the pod before it. It's not sustainable for me. So probably the pod from next season is going to be a little bit different. Still working on that, but it won't be in the exact same format. I just can't handle it anymore. Have you set a date for your wedding yet? We have, Carl. We have. Thank you very much. I ain't telling you when it is. Maybe we're all close to the time. Rashford to Liverpool, nonsense. We're still paying Alexis Sanchez, aren't we? Ali saying, are you afraid of the new season? Hell yeah. Finished 15th, dude. We've signed one player. I've no doubt that Amorim having all the time on the training ground in preseason, but everyone's going to know it a little bit more. But that team needed bolstering, man. And it needs bolstering. We need more signings in there. It's not just a case of maximising what you've got. And I think he will maximise more of what he's got. It's about getting new faces. Absolutely essential. Right. Thank you very much, everyone. I'm going to wrap up for today. I'll be here with a lunchtime video. Probably going to be on Mbeumo, Hutchinson, a little conversation there. As always, thank you for tuning in. Please do drop a like on the video if you enjoyed it. I'll be here tomorrow, and fingers crossed, be here later on with a little cheeky Mbeumo. Here we go. Not asking for much. Not asking for much.